Abigail Smith Adams, First Lady Fanatic. Abigail Adams has been immortalized by her famous letter to her husband John, founding father and co-author of the Declaration of Independence, for her letter to him requesting that the men remember the ladies as they formed the documents that would create the new laws of the infant United States. While John did not publicly honor her requests and even wrote back that it would be folly to abandon reason to the petticoat, Abigail was undeterred. In a time when married women could not own or bequeath property, she made her own way. Abigail was born November 11, 1744, to Reverend William Smith and his wife Elizabeth in Weymouth, Massachusetts. Like most women of her time, she had no formal education, but she was eager for knowledge and made good use of her father's library to tackle subjects most women would never have the opportunity to. She learned French and some Latin, and in her later years befriended poet and playwright Mercy Otis Warren, who, for a long time, was a sounding board and mentor and helped Abigail develop her critical thinking skills. The women had their own sort of book club with a few other women in which they would read pamphlets and information of the age and then write to each other of their thoughts and opinions on them. Abigail married John Adams in 1764. John was a recent Harvard graduate and started his career as a lawyer in the small town of Braintree, Massachusetts, south of Boston. John was frequently gone due to his law career and later as a statesman and diplomat. He trusted Abigail implicitly to run the family farm and take care of the family finances, something she did with vigor and a determined seriousness. She would often refer to their property as hers, even though she was quite aware that married women could not own their own property. However, with the help of her uncle Cotton Tufts, she began to buy government securities, called consolidated notes, what are modern-day bonds. Before the term even existed, Abigail was a bond speculator. While John preferred to try to buy up land as an investment, Abigail increasingly pressed him into buying the bonds instead. She secretly and without his knowledge continued this practice throughout their marriage, to the benefit of her entire family. Abigail was a vocal opponent of slavery and an outspoken advocate for the education of women. While her husband was abroad serving as a delegate for the colonies, she began teaching their daughter Latin and French and educating her in a fashion not common for young women of that time. She admired women like Catherine Macaulay, a British female historian in the late 1700s, who had made a name for herself as an educated author, even though Macaulay wasn't a proponent of women's rights like herself. She also gleaned information from the early American playwright and author Mercy Otis Warren, with whom she frequently exchanged letters and ideas with. In later years, the two women would have a falling out over Warren's criticism of her husband's presidential administration, which Abigail believed to stem from the fact that John refused to give Warren's son a role in his administration. Never the one to back down from controversy or stay silent, she had a tendency to voice her strong opinions, and when John was elected as president, she wrote that, "I have been so used to freedom of sentiment that I know not how to place so many guards about me as will be indispensable, to look at every word before I utter it, and to impose a silence upon myself when I so long to talk," a struggle she utterly failed in, as evidenced by her opposition to her husband's opinion on the XYZ affair. And while she believed in her own right to speak her mind, she most ardently opposed the press's right to voice opinions, especially if they were critical of her husband. She supported the Alien and Sedition Acts that most definitely put the nail in the coffin of John's rather lackluster years as president. In fact, her tendency to make her opinion known earned her the nickname Mrs. President by Albert Gallatin and the Anti-Federalists. She led a very full and devoted life to her husband and family. They survived many tragedies together: the loss of 2 sons to alcoholism, the death of their daughter from breast cancer, and a child that died in infancy. Despite all the years of separation during their marriage, Abigail and John shared a close, loving relationship throughout their entire marriage, and when she died in 1818 of typhoid fever at the age of 73, John was utterly devastated. Abigail was the First Lady to live in the White House, and until Barbara Bush, she was the only woman to be both wife and mother of a president. She left a lasting legacy through her many volumes of letters published by her grandson, Charles Francis Adams, in 1848. And in a time when women could not outright own property, She left her own will declaring where and to whom all her money and assets should go, and in a testimony to her great strength, it was carried out to the letter by her son John Quincy Adams. Abigail Adams was an independent woman in an uncommon time. She made no qualms or excuses for her forwardness, and blazed a path for her daughter and all American daughters who would follow her. She is certainly how history happens.